Hello everyone. If you're tuning in on the stream or you're here in person here, to learn how to take football stats, we're going to be starting shortly. I'm just going to be, I think there are like 7 or 5 people watching online. So, just thank you guys again for wanting to be here. If you guys, hopefully coaches that have told you to come here and whatnot, they should have forwarded you some documents and stuff. If not, definitely we'll get that to you. You just got to let us know, and we can give you some contact information later on at the end of this. So if you need to get in touch with us. But yeah, so one thing about taking football stats is it's one of the hardest sports to take stats in. It's definitely not something where you just come in and you think you can take it. It's very a serious task doing so. In any statistician role, it's always ideally it is a 2-person team. There's always somebody that is the caller or the spotter that is watching and stuff like that, and then there's the person that's actually doing the note taking. One thing about stats is accuracy is key. You can't, if you don't know what you're doing and you're guessing, then you shouldn't be in that row. Fortunately, taking football stats is not as high stress as some other jobs where if you mess up, that's kind of bad. But definitely today, want to get you guys, when you're taking stats, to get in the habit of being a caller as well as being a statistician, because sometimes you're not going to be able to do that. The slides you see here, I did not actually make these slides. I want to give all credit to statistician Thomas Yoshida. He does stats for TV broadcasts, and I think he does some UH sports as well as whatnot. So, I learned stats from him, how to take stats. So definitely taking stats is a lost art. So it's good to kind of pass it on. So as Tommy did with me, I want to help pass it forward. So definitely you'll see, you can tell what slides Tommy made, and you can definitely tell what slides I made, and it'll be obvious. But some of the topics we're going to be going over today is down and distance. That's a very key topic. How to tell what down and what distance you're in. Every time you hear football, the most common down and distance you hear is 1st and 10. And for those that are just watching or listening, it's like, oh, that sounds cool, right? And then, but we're going to talk about what that is. On my bullet points, it says how to get a first down. That's not really too big of. It's important in terms of understanding how to get a first down and stuff like that. But don't worry about that too much. Spotting the football is one that you're going to have to pay attention to, because fortunately, there's a lot of fields nowadays. They have hash marks, or they're on turf, so there's big numbers that you can see. But before that, we didn't have that luxury. So definitely when you get to some fields that don't have that, you kind of have to use your best judgment and figuring that out. But there's a couple of guidelines we want to talk about in spotting football. How to use a stat sheet. I'm going to kind of do that here and there. Stat sheets. There's many stat sheets out there. You can go online, you can look it up, and there's not one stat sheet that I would say is the best. It's basically, it depends on the person, right? You want to use the method and the tools that is best for you. So main thing today I want you to know is how to understand down and distance, how to understand the length of the play and getting that, and just learning your own system. And as you develop that, we'll get into that. We're going to talk about rushing plays and passing plays. Those are the 2 major stats that you're going to be paying attention to and need to be notating down in terms of stat reporting purposes. Receiving, that's something that deals with passing plays. And we're also going to talk about special teams a little bit. In terms of stat reporting, as most media uses, there's some things where there's some stats that is not really required in terms of reporting, but definitely it could be something that might be required, especially if they score a touchdown off of that play. So just understanding what goes on in those plays is important. We're also going to be talking about penalties. Penalties, that is one that gets people, it gets confusing, and because there's many different types of penalties, and we'll go over that. I think for that, it's going to be more of a quiz and situational stuff. Special teams, there's a few things we're going to go over, change of possession, and we're going to test your knowledge. Well, we're going to test your knowledge, and we're going to talk about things throughout tonight. One thing I do want to note is that, like in anything, failure to prepare is not a good thing. So whatever method you take for stats, there's three things that, especially that you would probably need when taking stats. One is a binocular. Highly recommend getting one, because no matter where you are, you can't really see, unless you're on the field, and even when you're on the field, these are, I think the length of the field width-wise is about 40 or 50 yards. So if you don't have good eyesight, or you just, some teams too, they have jersey numbers that are very tiny or it's just very hard to see. So definitely getting a binoculars is one thing that you should get. Another thing that you should get, especially if you're taking paper stats, is a clipboard. You can get two of these, the basic ones, for about under $8 at Office Depot. So definitely get a clipboard if you're going to be taking paper stats. You want that hard thing to write on. And last thing I recommend is having 4 colored pens. You can also have different colored pens if you want to be fancy with the pencil case and whatnot, but definitely 4 colored pens, or just different colored ink, is cool, because there's going to be, you're definitely watching 2 teams, right? So you don't want to get confused. Another thing with taking stats that you can use but you don't have to is a highlighter. I just use it to highlight things here and there, just for my own sake. And for those that are not here in person but watching, I did kind of make a slide real quickly before this presentation, and this is what I call a football stats starter kit. So clearly I did a terrible job at putting this slide together, but there's a binocular here on the left-hand side, a clipboard, and these 4 colored pens. So yeah. But moving on, the slide we're looking at is down and distance. I know there's a lot of text on there, and then you guys can read that. I'm briefly going to summarize what's going on. So a down is a offensive play. So things like special teams, it is kind of a down, but there's basically a down is a play. And then from the time the ball is snapped to the time the play is over, that's considered 1 down. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Team's offense is given 4 downs to move 10 yards towards the opponent's end zone. If you get past the 10 yards, that's a first down. And you see those guys with the huge orange sticks and whatnot. Distance is the number of yards a team needs to get a new set of 4 downs. So when you hear the term 1st and 10, that means that the offense is on 1st down and they have 10 more yards to go to get a 1st down, a new set of downs. If a team doesn't score or get a 1st down after 4th down, they turn the ball over. And yeah, and this, okay, so yeah, 1st and down, 1st and 10. You guys pretty much got that. Here's a definition of 1st down. Basically, it's basically, 1st down is recorded when the yardsticks are moved and whatnot. In terms of basic stat reporting with sending to the media and stuff like that, or just recording for you. 1st down is good for, I guess, for your own team if you want to record how much 1st downs you get, but it's not really necessary in terms of reporting, but it's a good stat for you to take down. So 1st down again. 1st down is credited when the yardsticks are ordered forward. So you see the chains, the big orange things, they move that down, so you know that's a 1st down. A touchdown, when a touchdown is scored, that's also considered a 1st down. It's just the way it is. And another 1st down is when there's a dead ball foul, which results in an automatic 1st down. So it's stuff like a dead ball foul. It's like when there is, then the blow the whistle dead, and then some kid is taunting or wants to cause a fight, and then that's a penalty. The team that is offended, or the team that got the penalty, or that is benefiting from the penalty, they'll get a 1st down. This is a little thing about where a team gets 2 first downs. So it could be when a player, he goes 10 yards or more and he gets a first down and there's a penalty added onto it and stuff like that. But it's not really that much of, when we get to penalties, we'll talk about that in more detail on how to record that as a stat. A team does not get a first down on a kickoff, punt, interception, or fumble, return, and and they don't get a first down if they don't pass the marker and stuff like that. I'm kind of breezing through these slides, but I'll have these available later on if you want to review it. I'm just trying to get to all the good stuff that is very important in taking stats, definitely for the individual players. So one of the big keys in taking football stats is to where they spot the football. So if the football it's touching the vertical plane, the hash mark. So on fields that have hash marks, you'll see like these tiny lines, right? So if it's touching that or it's the nose is to it, you'll take it at that. And then once we play some video clips, it'll be much more, and discuss it, it'll be easier for you guys to kind of understand what it is to spot the football. Spotting the football, there's 4 exceptions, and one is when there's a change of possession. It might be, say, Team A loses the ball at their 35-yard line. If the other team gets the ball back or gets the ball, that ball might actually be closer to their yard line, so that's the reason why it might change. Second thing is in situations where there's less than 1 yard to gain, especially on the goal line. You always hear that joke, it's third down and, like a monopool to go, or like a musubi, right? Musubi and monopools are not a stat, inches are not a stat, so they have to gain a yard. So usually when that happens, if the ball really doesn't move gain a yard, I mark that down as a rush for 0. This is exception 3. It's not really too important right now, so I'm just going to skip this slide. And the 4th exception, which is probably the most common one, is when the ball is between the 1 yard line with the forward point of the ball closest to the goal line, the ball is considered to be at the 1 yard line. So say like a team is trying to score, like they're doing quarterback sneaks and stuff like that, and the ball slowly moves couple inches. Even though the ball moved once to get to the end zone, it still has to go down as a 1 yard rush. Okay, so one thing that helps in taking stats, if you're using a stat sheet, that's great. But one thing to kind of keep you in check is to do kind of a play-by-play method. Basically, you write down, what happened on that play. You want to write down the down and distance, the spot of the ball, what happened. If player A rushed for 10 or 5 yards, or player A passed to player B for 4 yards. It's good to kind of keep that on a running log. And that's why I recommended a clipboard, because you can kind of lift one paper up to write on that and so forth. Okay, so we're going to be talking about rushing plays and how to take stats for that. So any player who carries the ball, that runs the ball, it's a running play. I think if you're a football statistician, you should kind of know what a running play and a passing play is. It does get tricky. There are some things where some teams like to get cute and get fancy, so I brought examples for that. So if they run the ball, it's run from wherever they started to where they finished, and we're going to go over that. Okay, so here we have a clip, and this is going to be a running play. So first thing that you kind of want to, there's 2 things that you want to kind of identify right away. One of the first things is, where is the ball, and what is the down and distance. So Sorry, let's see. What's your name? Huh? Lehua. Oh, with Waipahu. Okay, so Lehua, where is the ball right now? Good. So if you yeah. So here's the 50-yard line. What team has the ball? The team that has the ball is the green team, right? So yeah. So because they passed the 50, the green team passed the 50, and they're on the white team side of the field, you start to count down from. So if this is the 50, this would be the white 49, this is the white 48, and this is the white 47. So green team is on the white 47. So if you were doing a play-by-play, I would write white 47 on my sheet. Now, what is the down and distance? Ashley, what would you say the down and distance is? Okay, so yep, the down marker is 3. If they're on the 47, now this is where it gets tricky. So you notice how on the orange line, it's kind of like in between. So I can't give you like it's either 3rd and 2 or 3rd and 3 right now. I can't give you exactly what it is, but if I saw the previous 2 plays when it was first down, I can give you an accurate. So basically, whenever there is a new set of downs, just remember where the first down is, and what yard they have to pass line to get the first down. So with that in mind, we got about 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, and green team is on the white 47. So I'm just gonna let this clip run, and then we're gonna review. Oh, sorry. Okay, how many yards did he run for? 21. Huh? Okay, so see how fast? See, okay, so see how fast that went, right? Okay, you notice on the video clip you heard someone yell 55, right? So you kind of want to do that for yourself, because if you just say it in your head, it's just in your head, right? But if you say it out loud, then it's easier to remember. So that's why I said you should be a caller, a spotter, and a statistician, but sometimes you don't have that luxury. So it's good to vocalize who has the ball and stuff like that. So 55 had the ball, and he ran it for quite a bit of yards. Now, a lot of us, it's hard for us to figure it out as it goes. But one thing, when the play is over, you want to know where the play ended. So usually, where you see the play ends is not. The officials may see something different. They might be 1 or 2 yards off, but always try to see where the official goes and spots the ball after the play, because they might stop somewhere, especially if they go out of bounds. They might stop here, but if the official marks it there, that's how long the run was. So let me see if I can replay this. But okay, so you can't really see on the screen right now, but this yard line right here is the 20 of the white team. So if this is the 20 of the white team, where would you say the ref is spotting the ball? Okay, so if he's spotting at the white 16, if he came from the white 47, how many yards would that? That would be 31 yards. So you would mark that down in your stat sheet as a 31-yard run for number 55. Now, gonna kind of get off the PowerPoint real quick and go on to the stat sheet, which I hopefully I'm gonna show two. I'm gonna use two stat sheets, which hopefully you guys have. If not, we can definitely send it to you. But the first stat sheet I'm gonna use is kind of this more this basic stat sheet. So on this stat sheet, it's kind of a JPEG, which you can't really tell. But here you have on the top you have passing, receiving, and rushing. So since we're only dealing with rushing plays right now, I'm just gonna use this line right here. So let me see. So what number had the ball? Okay, so I'm just gonna write 55 here. Make that a little bit bigger. That's too big. Okay, so I'll put 55 here, right? Typically, if you want to be nice and write the person's name, that's cool and stuff like that. But jersey number usually works just fine. Let's see. One thing I also want to point out is you have to use two different stat sheets for two different teams, because if you use the same stat sheet for the same teams, you're gonna get confused. So for number 55, he ran for how many yards? 31. Okay. So these numbers right here is what is an attempt, or it's a carry. In terms of running plays, it's a carry. So if that was his first carry, what we like to do here is I would put a 31 in this top left-hand corner. Okay? And then, so if that was his first carry, how many yards did number 55 ran for currently? He has 31. So I would write 31 here in this bottom right-hand corner. So now what if 55 runs the ball again, right? So if 55 runs the ball again, how many carries would he have? He would have 2 carries, right? It's kind of a simple question, but I just was testing you guys. So then you would write his second carry in this column with number 2. So hypothetically, let's say 55 ran for 5 yards, right? So what I would do is I would put that individual carry here in the top left-hand corner. So on his second carry, he ran for 5 yards, right? Now, one thing, before I wasn't too smart, and when I did paper stats, I just took it separately and I wouldn't add it. But with this particular stat sheet, with this bottom right-hand corner, what number do you think should go here? 36, right? So at least this way, you kind of have a running log of you know how much they have currently, right? Definitely, if your coach asks you guys, if you're taking stats for a team and the coach asks you, you know, how much rushing yards did we give up? You know, they're gonna look at that number and be like, wow, they really got to crack down. So top left, I would put that for the individual carry, and the bottom right, I would put the cumulative yards for that player. Now, if you want this this more expansive stat sheet, this is the one that I think Thomas Yoshida uses and some of our reporters use. It's very big and it's more complex, so that's why I kind of don't use it too much. Yeah. But it definitely gives you ways to kind of notate. Here you have first downs. You can mark off how many first downs they got via rush, pass, or penalty, and stuff like that. You have third down conversions if your coach wants you to take track of that. Those things aren't normally reported to the media and stuff like that, so we don't really keep track of that or request it from you guys. But this particular stat sheet, this area right here is what you would use for rushing. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be how many carries they have. So this is what the stat sheet I used before, and I didn't really have, so this is what kind of took me a while. So I'll put player 55, right? And then player 55 ran for 31 yards, right? So he ran for 31 yards. That's too big. 31. And then he ran for 5. Hypothetically, he ran for 5 on the next carry, and there's not really a room to kind of add it. So if you want to do it this way, you can. You just would have to add it on the own and report it that way. So these are just two of the stat sheets for how to notate rushing plays. So back to the slideshow. And I will have to pass all this. Sorry guys, I have to reboot. But on the bright side, hopefully this gives you encouragement that nobody's perfect. So when you're taking stats, don't get too discouraged. Okay, but back to running plays. So first play, I think we kind of settled it down. So let's do some more practice. So this particular play, you don't really see the down and distance, so don't worry about it too much. But so what team has the ball? The white team. Okay, so where does white team have the ball? Yeah, so the white team would have it at the black 49. If you notice, you see how the ball is not like actually touching the 49. It's kind of like in the middle. Typically, if it passes the line, I give credit for that, right? So it passed the 50, and that it's closer to the 49. I would say it's on the white 49. Okay, so I'm just gonna let it play, and you guys can see what I'm gonna ask you guys at the end what happened. Okay, so what happened on this play? Okay, well, first of all, who ran the ball? Number 10 ran the ball. Okay, so you get that in your head. Now, where did he ran the ball from? So where did he start? On the black 49, and then where did he finish? Where did he finish? Okay, so he's kind of off screen right now, but you see this official right here? You see where he's standing? Yeah, so usually there's 2 silent officials, and they'll run down the field if hopefully they can run fast enough to get there in time. But they'll run and they'll spot where the ball is, and they'll stand there and wait so that this guy right here can put it and line up. Now, unfortunately, we live in Hawaii and not everyone's perfect, so a lot of times they're not going to be aligned together. So watch where he actually spots the ball. 90% of the time they're going to be in line, but sometimes they're not in line. So just make sure you watch where he spots the ball. That's so yeah. But if he went from the black 49 to the black 10, how many yards is that? 39, right? So if you're doing a stat sheet, where would you put number 10 on your stat sheet? You wouldn't put it on the same line as 55, right? So you'd put it on a different line, right? Okay, so and then because there are different ball carriers in every game and stuff like that. Next clip. Yeah, there's no sound. Okay, I'm gonna kind of pause it. Okay, who has the ball? Okay, the white team has the ball. Okay. Where is the ball at? Okay, so this is okay. So this is the 20. Where do you guys think the ball is at? Okay, so you guys said 17, which I'm glad. What are you looking at to make you say 17? What is your eyes looking at? Okay, good. You're looking at the ball. Look look at the ball. So just like how some people don't line up, sometimes these people don't line up either, right? So if you're looking at this guy, it's on the 18, right? But if you look at the ball, you have 1, 2, 3 hash marks from the 20, so it's on the white 17, right? So good, you looked at the ball. You got to look at the ball because, again, I don't know why it's a straight line, you know, but sometimes we're just not synced up. So good, always check the ball. Usually 90% of the time, these guys here on the sideline are good on it. But half the time, you know, it's a player holding it or some student, so they might not be in the game mentally or in the zone mentally. So let's just let this play, and I'm gonna ask you guys what it is. But kind of as a pop quiz, you know, what is the down and distance you guys think? Okay, so it is second down, but because you don't see the rest of the orange thing, it looks like there's only 3 yards to go, but it's actually second and 13. Yeah, so you want to make sure it's not on the screen, but you want to make sure you know where the 2 orange things are. Typically, a common starting point for most teams is on the 20, because if there's a touchback where they kick off the ball to the end zone, it starts on the 20. So that's a good rule of thumb to have in your head. So I'm just gonna let it play, and just gonna let it play. And you gotta figure out who gets the ball and for how many yards. You guys see who has the ball yet? You guys have who has the ball yet? Okay. So I know while watching it on the screen, 19. Yeah. Yeah. So I know watching it on the screen, you can't really tell, but when you're actually there at the field, you have hopefully you guys got binoculars and you can identify who has the ball like as soon as they have the ball. One rule of thumb to know is always who the running back and quarterback is on every play. Just before the play starts, always it's good to identify that. Because some teams like to kind of fool around and put different people like after every play where it's not the same. So definitely make sure. Now I know for you guys here, it looked like the 15 when they had the ball, but when he actually got up, it was a 19. So always watch them to the end of the play, and definitely when they get up, you can get a better view of their jersey number. Hopefully there's nobody blocking it, but yeah, always kind of follow them to the end of play to make sure what happens. Okay, here's another one. Let me just pause it. What is the down and distance? Okay, yep, 2nd and 9. And where is the ball? Who has the ball? White. Okay, and where's the ball at? Okay, it's on the blue 44. Good. Okay, so right, 15 is the quarterback, 19 is the guy behind him, and there's 28 on the side of him, if you can see. Let's just run the play, guys. But yeah, you kind of, yeah. Okay, so it's a handoff to 19, and he's gonna go, he's gonna go, all right? Okay. So that, okay, so how many yards did he run for? Yeah, so it's 44 because he was on the 44. It's 45 4 yards to the end zone, so 44. How many yards did they run for in the previous play? Yeah, so the previous play they were at the yeah, so yeah. Okay, let's just sorry. No. I just thought about it. But how many yards did he run for this on this play right now? 44 yards, right? Okay, and it's a touchdown. So one thing I like to do on my stat sheet and whatnot, I like to highlight with a highlighter the touchdown, so at least I know the down and distance, and I know that particular play was a touchdown. You can do it on your stat sheet, and you can do it on if you do a paper play-by-play. Now, one thing that is important that I need to go back to here is how to report what happens when somebody scores. Because scoring summary is one that is definitely needed just to keep track of. No, it's just something that is always part of taking stats. So here on display, I would say it was you can write this down through, I guess the actual file is a Excel, but you can also handwrite it. So I would what team scored the ball? The white team, right? So sorry, there seems to be some work going on here in the gym, but what the heck? We'll work through it. So this particular scoring summary, you want to put it in chronological order, right? So let's just clear this and clear this and clear this and clear this. So let's say, who did we have? We have team blue and we had team white, right? White. So in a scoring summary, there is a lot of let me just zoom this in. There's a number of things that we're gonna need and requests that you put down in the scoring summary. One thing that we are gonna need is that we should get is what quarter that play happened, right? So we're just gonna write first quarter here, first quarter, and you have to, we want you guys to notate when that scoring happened. So typically at every score, the clock's gonna stop. So you can always look at the clock and write down the score. So let's just write down what it was. Now, what team scored? The team that scored was white, right? So I would write white, or you put whatever team that scored. And what number scored the ball? Number 19, white 19. If you have a roster, it's good to write the actual name down. And first initial and last name is good enough. So, and how many yards was that play? Okay, it was a 44-yard run, right? And then this parenthesis thing is a point after touchdown. Usually that's like the extra point where they kick the ball or they go for 2, and then you just write down what happened. So let's just pretend number 5 for white kicked the ball, and you just write kick and stuff like that. If it's a 2-point conversion, you would just write run if they ran for 2, or if they pass, it would be 5 pass to number 5 or 4. Now, if there is a running or passing play, huh? Oh, you don't write down what happens? Oh, okay, yeah. So when they go, if a team goes for 2, kind of bring this up now. If a team goes for 2, you want to make sure that you know what happens, but that does not actually count towards their individual stats, but you just want to know who scored that play for reporting purposes. So yeah, this is a basic look at what how do you submit this, and this is like a sample way to write the scoring summary. And of course, you write down what the score was after that play. So be 0, and then white is usually a visitor, so it'll be 0 to 7. And you also want to make sure that your scoring thing up here is correct. So it'll be white 7. But yeah, this thing is kind of self-explanatory, so I'm not going to go over too much. If there's any questions, definitely you can ask me, contact me. Now, back to slideshow. Now, if a quarterback gets sacked, on the college level and on the NFL level, I don't think it actually gets counted to the quarterback's rushing stats, but on high school it does. So for the sake of this, we gotta go over this. So if a quarterback drops back to pass and he's either sacked or he takes off and run, he gets his own line for rushing and he gets credit for the yards that he gained or lost. So if it's a sack, definitely it's gonna be a negative yardage. So I have 2 sack plays and we're gonna go over it. So hold on. Who has the ball? The white team has the ball. Okay, and where are they on the field? Okay, so they're on the purple 33. So the play is starting on the purple 33, and I'm gonna ask you guys where the play ends. Okay, so where did the play end? Okay, which 45? The purple 45, right? Yeah. So if he started from 33, got to the ended at the 45, how many yards is that? Negative 12. So you're right, negative 12 on there and whatnot. Okay, so good. Here's another play. Where's the ball? Okay, yeah, so it's on the 21 of white or red? White, right? And red has the ball. Okay, so how many yards? Okay, so where did the play end? Okay. So he started on the 21, right? Yeah. So see how the ref is up here? The ref is on the white 26. So what happened is this is an example of forward progress got stopped. So this is why you also want to watch the ref, because he was already stopped here, but they kept pushing him back, and they're not gonna, he got stopped at the 26 trying to advance it, so that's where they're gonna call it. So it is a -5 yard sack. So definitely you want to pay attention to where these guys spot the ball, because even though he ended up all the way over here, the ball is actually spotted 4 more yards up ahead. Now, teams like to get cute and they like to trick us. So there's option plays. A lot of teams like to use it, especially in the spread, and it's in running plays. So when they're running the ball, if they pass the ball behind them, that's considered a lateral, and it's a run. It's not considered a pass. Even though he might pass it backwards, it's still considered a run. So if the quarterback runs, right, and he pitches it, the stats go to the second guy that got the ball. Okay, so I'm just gonna give an example. Here's one. Okay, so where is the ball at? Yeah, it's about at the 10. Okay, so you have 13. He passed. Okay. Okay. So you see how, like, he pitches it backwards. So that is a running play. Okay. But you gotta make sure that he's doing it backwards. Here is, sorry there's a commercial in it, but here's another example. Okay, so it looked similar, right? But the ball traveled forward. That is a pass. Okay, so and we'll talk about how to notate passing plays later on. But notice that the ball traveled forward, so it's a pass, not a rush. Teams get tricky like that. And here's another one. This is another example, or it might be the same one. It's the same one. Okay, here's another example. So passes it forward. It's a pass. Okay. Next play. The next play I'm going to show you guys. It's another type of running play, or it's another type of kind of option-y kind of thing. And I'm gonna just watch. Okay. Where is the, well, who has the ball? The white team, and where's the ball at? About the 33, 32 area. I can't really tell right now because the play's starting, but it's that general area. Okay, so on this particular play, you saw how some guy ran in motion, or he took the ball like that. Even though he holds the ball in front of him, it's still a run, right? Because he didn't actually pass the ball, he just handed it off. So this is still a running play, even though he gave the ball to him forward. And this is a type of running play. Here's another example. We have the down marker. So where's the ball at? Well, who has the ball? Who has the ball? Who has the ball? White has the ball. Okay, so white has the ball. You can't really tell right now, but this is a 30-yard line. If this is a 30-yard line right here, where's the ball? Be over here, right? So it'll be the 31, and they're on the black side of the field. What down is it? Third down, and I would say it's about 3rd and 4. So, so here's another play. Is that a run or pass? Run. It's a run play. He hands it off, and he goes in and scores for a touchdown. How long is the touchdown? 31 yards? Yeah, it'll be a 31-yard run. Now, some teams, again, people like to be cute, so here's an example of another one. Okay, so similar motion to the last two, but he passed it forward, so it goes down as a pass. I don't know, I guess they didn't want to touch each other or something like that, but that is a pass, even though it's a similar motion. So don't get those mixed up. This is a slide about laterals. Hold on. Oh, it's just more things about running plays, and I'll have these slides available so you can kind of look at this. This is more elaborate stuff that I pray that nobody has to go through, because some teams do get crazy, especially towards the end of the game. Okay, so one thing about running play, especially with the option, is there's a lot of fumbles and stuff like that. So if they lose the ball, wherever the ball goes out of bounds or it gets picked up, that is the rushing attempt, right? So let's say the quarterback, he pitches it and it goes out of bounds. if it goes about backwards, wherever they spot the ball next, that is where the yards. If he throws the ball behind him and somebody else picks up the ball, you have to figure out where to pick up the ball and then deduct how many yards that quarterback actually lost, because that's the chain of possession. One thing I do want to point out is there are times when the ball is going to go snapped over the quarterback's head, and if the quarterback is able to get it, but he just loses it, I guess it slips out of his hands, I would give the yardage to the quarterback. But if it's like totally out of reach for him, it would go down as a team rush. So because it doesn't go to a player, it goes to the team, even though it was the center's fault, but it goes down as a team rush. So just stuff like that. Something like, okay, so passing plays, right? Passing plays, similar to rush, it's just there's two people involved. And it talks about shovel passes here. Now here's an example of a passing play. Okay, who has the ball? White team. Where is the ball at? Okay, it's on the 27 of whose side of the field? White, okay. And what down is it? Third down, okay, and it's about 1 yard behind the stick, so it's about 3rd and 11. So you gotta see who throws the ball and who catches it. Okay, so you couldn't really tell who threw the ball because the video cut out like that. But if you're doing your pre-snap checking and looking, you would know that it was number 6 that threw the ball, and then who caught the ball? Number 8, right? So where did the play end? On the white 44, right? So if you do the math, how many yards is that? Okay, so started on the 27, it finished at the 44. That is a 17-yard gain. Okay. So the official is good. He runs to where it stops, and he puts it down there at the 44. So it's from the 27 to the 44. You do the math, it's 17 yards. Now to notate that on a stat sheet. Okay, so let me use this one first. So this area here is what is used for passing. There's different different columns. So sometimes there's multiple passers in one game, but typically this area right here goes to the main passer. And this area right here is the receivers. So on that particular play, this would be, let's go white 6. Okay, white 6 is the quarterback. Okay, so these numbers in bold here, these are passing attempts. The number on this left-hand side would be the completions as it goes on. So he completed the ball, right? So I would put a 1 here. So that means because he completed the ball, so he completed 1 of 1 passes. And then next to here, I would write 17 because the ball went for 17 yards. On the receiver section, I'll write here number 8. And number 8 caught 1 pass for 17 yards. Now, as the game goes on, right, the quarterback is there's gonna be incompletions and stuff like that. So if the next pass for the quarterback is incomplete, I would just leave it at 1, and he would be 1 for 2, and then you don't have to write anything here because there's nothing to happen. If there is an interception that the quarterback throws, it goes down as an incompletion, Even though someone caught it, it's an incompletion because the offense failed to complete the pass to intended receiver, and you have to kind of note it down here that that was an interception. Now on this stat sheet, hopefully it's a little bit easier. I'll write here number 6, White, because this is the passing. And then for passing, let me see. You can use these numbers for completions or attempts. So if there's an attempt, first attempt was good for 17 yards, right? So 17. And then the running total is 17. And say he throws an incompletion the next play, I would just put an X here to note that it was incompletion. If it's an interception, you can definitely put an I or INT there. And then for this section right here, I'll just still keep the running total. So his running total is he's 1 for 2 for 17 yards. Receiving, it's similar to running. You got number 8. And here you would put the current play or the current, the total that he has. So he has 1 catch. And there. And then if you want, and then you write the total amount of yards in the bottom right, and you keep going on. And it's similar to rushing plays. Where are we at? Okay. And clearly I don't use PowerPoint that much, so I have to kind of breeze through all this. But I shouldn't have to go out of this anymore. Okay, so this play, white team has the ball. Where is the ball located? It's on the 24 of blue or white team? On the blue 24. Okay, good. 6 is the quarterback. And let's go. 6 passes to 5. Wait for the ref to spot the ball, and the ref is going to spot the ball there. So the video doesn't show it, but you would again look at where he spot the ball and do the math that way. Now, not every field has hash marks, so next video clip is kind of an example of what it looks like if there's no hash marks. And here we are. So fortunately, they have these 5-yard lines, right? And stuff like that. But then they'll have these little orange things on the sideline. So the very end is the goal line, right? So there's this the pylon, and there would be a G. 10 yards from that is a 10-yard line, and 10 yards from that is a 20-yard line. Now, when you look at these lines here, it's every 5 yards. So definitely when you're at a field like this, you have to be kind of cognizant of where the ball is at every single time. So if this is a 20-yard line right here, about right here, what yard line is this? 25, right? So where would you say the ball is at? At the 24. Okay, so 15's the quarterback. He throws the ball. To number 4, right? So sorry, that's pretty loud. But so it's 15-4, 24 yards, and then you just notate it that way. Here's another one. Which team has the ball? Blue team. Okay, where is the ball? Okay, so if this is the 50, they're going this way, right? So they're on the white side of the field. So what would this, where would, oh, the ball's right here. If the ball's right here, where is that?
42, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so it's on, yeah. So yeah, whenever it gets to like this midfield area, your brain kind of has to do some gymnastics to like flip it, and then so that's probably the most confusing part, the 50, 40-yard area. But once they get past that, it gets more easier to figure out. So 12, pass to 5. How many yards is that? 42-yard pass, right? Okay, good. Another one. Okay, I went through that clip real quick just to get it going, but where did the ball start? Okay, yeah. So usually on a game, there's gonna be enough time to get it. So definitely locating the ball spot right away is kind of my first priority, just to know where it is, because you always want to know where it started and where it finished, because nobody else is gonna tell you that. A lot of times when you're at a game, there's other people next to you. They don't know who has the ball, right? Or there's an announcer, they'll say who has the ball. So that stuff people will know, but where it stopped, where it started, no one really knows. So you want to make sure you know where it is at all times or right away. Passing plays, similar like running plays, if there's any laterals, that stuff happens very rarely. So I'm just going to leave this in here for you guys to review when you get there. Interceptions. Okay, so interceptions, it's good to take down. Definitely for your team. But we definitely going to need interceptions, especially when they score on that play. You have to figure out how long the scoring was. So here's a play. Who has the ball? White. Okay, so White has the ball. They pass the 40, so they're on the 37. It's 37 of green, and it's 4th down. And we're gonna play the clip. So 10 has it. He throws. It's picked off. Okay. Now everyone's gonna watch him, and he's gonna do his thing and whatnot. But whenever this happens, we gotta take this down, right? Because it's a scoring play, someone scored. So usually when this happens, I'm trying to figure out, my first thing to figure out is what? What do I want to figure out first? Where he got the ball, right? Because again, everyone's gonna know who got the ball, and they're gonna watch him. But figuring out where he got the ball is gonna be hard because it's gonna happen instantaneously. So I know in the beginning I talked about accuracy, but sometimes if there's no one to help you out, you just gotta make your best choice, especially when they score, right? It looked like he got it from there, and that's where it is. Here's another one. So a little stadium, better field. Try and see where he picks the ball off. Okay, so where did he get the ball? About the 30, 31 area. We don't have the luxury of like stopping it and stuff like that. So you just make your best guess. You see where he got it, and you stick with that. And unless somebody like tells you otherwise, if they paid attention better, because you can always figure out who has the ball at the end of the play, right? Because there'll be a dog pile, and then you can go with your binoculars and see who got it. He'll be all happy. He'll hold the ball up and stuff like that. I put quiz because there's gonna be some clips where it's just it's very finicky and stuff like that. So this kind of stuff happens. Okay, is that a run or pass? Okay, so it looked like the pass. It went forward, right? Yeah. So it's a pass. So even though when the play call is meant to be a run, he just passed it forward, so it's a pass. One thing that does help is the silent official. You guys can't see if you guys watching, but what he'll do is if it's a backwards pass, he'll hold his arm out like this. He should be holding it backwards to where the opposite direction. But if he holds it out, they're ruling it as a lateral, as a backwards pass. So things like that come like that, and that kind of helps you notate if it was a pass, if it was forward or backward or not. Here's another play of a team getting fancy. So just try and figure out what happens. Oh, first of all, hold on. Okay, so notice how there's no hash marks. This is the goal line. This is the 10-yard line. Where is the ball? So this is the goal line. This is the 10. Yeah, so you see how like this down marker is like auto here, but the ball is more closer. So I would say it's about the 6-yard line, 6 or 7. I would have to see it where the previous play was. I would know where it is, but yeah, when it gets tight like this, you have to kind of be more pay better attention. So here they are. They're getting fancy. So you guys got to see what happens. Okay, so I'm gonna play that clip again. What, you see this clip?
Oh, this is the Kaiser one.
So he throws it back to 6. 23 has it, and 23 passes it to number 90. So is this a run play or pass play? Yeah, it's a pass play. So all that fanciness that happened, they never went past the line of scrimmage, so it doesn't really matter. But it ended up being a pass play from 23 forward to 90, right? Yeah, it's because okay. So I'm gonna play the clip again. So 11 is the quarterback, right? It's gonna go backwards. It's going to go backwards to 6. It goes backwards to 23. So he passes the ball. So because it went backwards, there was no forward pass happen yet. So a ball can go backwards as many times in a play, but there's only one allowed forward pass in a game. So it'd be a 23 to 90, 6-yard touchdown, and you would notate that. Okay, where's the ball? 50 on the, okay, it's on the 49 of whose side? Black. Okay, good. Okay, is this a pass or it's a run? Okay, I'm gonna play it again. So he's standing near the area. Okay. Okay, so yeah, so he was near this area, right? But the ball is in this area. So it's considered a fumble. Yeah. So, since it's kind of freeze frame right now, where is this guy taking the ball at? So this is the 49, 48, 48, 47, we got the 46 area, right? So where did the ball start? On the black 49, okay? Where is it gonna get taken away? White 46. So how many yards lost is this? Okay, it's a 5-yard loss, and it goes to the quarterback, right? One thing that kind of helps in trying to like do mental math like that is the hash marks. So you know that if it's like this, and the first hash mark, that's 5, 4, and then 3, 2, 1 different. So yeah. So he didn't score, but if he does score, you have to figure out the distance. So if he took it out from the 46, then it is a 46-yard return for this player. And so this is like just very like technical stuff, but it does come up, right? And just trying to decipher whether forward pass, backwards pass is important. Yeah. But who loses the yards? Yeah. Which player for white? Number 10 loses the yards, right? Because he's the one that lost the ball. He gets charged from where he lost the ball. Yeah. Okay, so penalties. Now penalties do get confusing. There's a lot of different types of penalties. 0 yards, 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards. There's also spot foul penalties and things half the distance to go. There's all different types of scenarios. Previous spot, usually there's no stats involved. A lot of this spot ball penalties will happen before the play, right? So say the team comes out, the offense comes out, it's 1st and 10, they have a false start, right? Nothing happened, so no stats go to anybody, but the next play is gonna be 1st and 15. So those are my favorite penalties because you don't have to worry about anything. If there is encroachment or offsides, there's that. Holding penalties is a 10-yard penalty, and that's kind of one that can be a spot or previous spot foul, where it go like from a 1st and 10 to 1st and 20. But holding penalties do get kind of confusing, so we'll go over that as well. Now, spot fouls will march off the penalty. The official will march off the penalty from the spot of the foul, either towards the offense or defense. So most spot fouls will be against the defense. So say the team on offense, he runs the ball 5 yards, right? But a player comes in and does a helmet-to-helmet contact or a blindside block, and refs will throw the flag. Everyone on the side will get mad, and they'll call for a foul. So what the officials should do is they're first gonna mark off how many yards the player gained. So they'll spot there, they'll stop there, they'll hold the ball up or they'll hold the ball, and then they will march off the penalty yardage, which would be either 10 or 15 yards, depending on what happens. So now I said the officials should do that, but a lot of times they don't do that. So I don't have it on me right now, but typically a personal foul is a 15-yard penalty. So if you know what happened, and you didn't know how long the play was, if they added on to the play, just count back 15 from where the next spot is, and then you can figure it out that way. Now, there are spot fouls that will be called against the offense. A lot of these spot fouls is for an illegal block, as in holding. Now, typically, if there's a holding call, it's on the offensive lineman on a passing play where they throw a flag, then it's like 1st and 20. Now, if the holding occurs past the line of scrimmage, you can't. The running back will still get yards, or the player will still get yards that he gained, because he already got that legally, but because there's a penalty, it comes back. So that's why sometimes there'll be like a run play for, I'll kind of write on the screen later on, but say one player, it's 1st and 10, offense, one player runs for 8 yards, they call a holding penalty, but the next play is 1st and 12. It's like, well, holding penalty, how come it's like 2 yards? Then you know the running back got 8 yards. So because he gained 8 yards, they have to bring the ball back 10 yards for holding. So you still give the running back 8 yards because he gained 8 yards legally. But because of the holding penalty, they bring it back. So I'll write stuff on a Word document and explain that further. Here is a spot foul situation. If 1st and 10, Team A is on Team B's 40-yard line. Nakama rushes for 17 yards to Team B's 23-yard line. Then it says a clipping penalty is called against Team A on Team B's 31-yard line. Since the first spot is the 31-yard line, and Team A is penalized 15 yards to Team B's 46-yard line. So they're on Team B's 40-yard line. They called for clipping at the 31-yard line. So that's a gain of 9. But because clipping is 15 yards, the ball gets brought back to the 46. And it's a lot of mental math, and it's definitely penalties is one of the hard things to get through, but the more you get used to it and understand it, the better. One thing that would be good to do as a statistician is to look up types of penalties and the yardage for each penalty, because penalties generally are a 5-yard penalty, 10-yard penalty, or a 15-yard penalty. So if you know what the penalty is and the penalty signs, you'll know how many yards to credit. And here is another one. 15 yards. Okay. Now, there are times where there's like a holding penalty or illegal block where instead of a 1st and 20, it'll be like a 1st and 22. That's because the holding was done 2 yards from the line of scrimmage. So they're gonna mark it 10 yards from where that is and stuff like that. And since there is no positive yardage gain on that kind of play, then there's no stats to give to any one player. There is, and on the run or dead ball fouls, a lot of these will be personal fouls, unsportsmanlike conduct, and they're pretty explanatory, and it's not as confusing as spot fouls. You don't add the penalty yards to the runner or the quarterback or the receiver. You just make sure you give the yards that person gained by himself. Dead ball foul. And these are just situations we can review it with the later on. Okay. So just kind of a test. Ball, say white has the ball, right? White has the ball. It's 1st and 10 at white 20. I should shrink this. 1 second. First and 10 on the white 20, right? White 55 runs for 10 yards. But the next ball spot is there's a penalty. They throw a flag, and then next thing you know, when they start the next play, it's 1st and 10 at the white 45. Hold on. Sorry, I did this. It's backwards. Let me read it. Let me do it. Okay, white 1st and 10, white 20. White 24 runs the ball. Okay. There's penalty. There's a big commotion. And then you see where they spot the ball for the next play, and you're at the white 20, white 44. So at the end of the play, there was a personal foul, right? Let's just say there was a personal foul, which is a 15-yard penalty. So how many yards? So personal foul, which is a 15-yard penalty. How many yards did white 24 gain? So yeah, so it'd be 40. So 44 minus 15 equals 44 minus 15 equals 29. Now 29 minus 20 equals 9. So it would be a 9-yard gain, right? So penalties definitely, you have to kind of know what's going on and make sure you note that down. It's not 24, right? You don't give him yards that he didn't gain himself. Now, another example. Okay, 1st and 10 at the white 20. White 10, pass to white 6. So it's a passing play. You see what happens. But next thing you know, there's a flag on the play. Flag. But they march the ball right. But now you see it's a 1st and 10. First and 3 at white 27. Okay. So a lot of times to know that there was a penalty is when the down remains the same. So actually, sorry, this wouldn't happen. It would be 1st and 13 at the white 17. So if it's first and 13 at the white 17, they call an illegal block, which illegal block, I think illegal block could either be holding or blindside block, which is a 10-yard penalty. A blindside block might actually be a 15. I have to double check on that, but usually illegal blocks is a 10-yard penalty. So if the next thing you see, if this happens, right, 1st and 13 at white 17, how many yards was gained legally? Is it kind of confusing? Okay, so they definitely, if they passed the ball and they went forward, right? They went for a big game, but there's an illegal block, so they have to bring it back. Since it's at a white 17, the ball spot's the white 17. They marked it off 10 yards from the spot of the foul, right? So the spot of the foul became. The foul became or is the white 27, right? So 10 yards back from 27 equals 17. So because the spot of the foul is 27, how many yards was gained legally? 7, right? So it'd be 7. So the quarterback will have 1 completion, for 7 yards. White 6 will have 1 reception for 7 yards. Yeah. So, yeah. So whenever you see like a weird 1st and 13, 1st and 12, 1st and 14, those are easy to spot as these types of plays because usually it's going to be a 1st and 15 for like a false start or no stats involved. So yeah, those are penalties. It does get confusing. That's why it's good to just write down on your play-by-play sheet what happened, where the play start. Again, for everyone that's watching, if there's any more questions, I figure I should give my contact information right now. So this is my name. My number is 808-492-8264, and this is my email address. So if there's any questions in the future or just have more stats, this is my information. I just want to get it out of the way and whatnot. Yes, yeah. So this will be available for replay, and you can always reference this. Whatnot. I think it should be public. If not, we'll definitely get the link to you guys. Yeah. So to close this out, there's just some few things we just gotta mention. And definitely the last time I'll have to close out of this PowerPoint. But punts, right? So measuring how long the punt is not really that big of a deal. But you do want to know where the punt returner gets the ball, because if he scores, we want to know how long that touchdown was. So again, first thing whenever there's a change of possession is locate where the ball starts. And you can always figure out who has the ball after that fact because they'll have the ball and they'll hold the ball up and they'll be celebrating and stuff like that. Now, if a punt is either blocked or it's a bad snap, the yardage loss doesn't go to the punter, it goes to team, kind of like a high snap and stuff like that. But yeah, it's kind of self-explanatory. If the punt is blocked, and the other team doesn't score, you have to notate the yardage loss on that play. So if the punt was blocked and the ball ends at wherever the ball ends, you deduct that from where the ball started and you charge that as a team rush. If there's a return on a block punt, it's treated as a punt return and you notate where they picked the ball up and so forth. Aborted punt, if something happens and they either want to run the ball or pass the ball, if the punter decides not to punt the ball and he starts running up to it, he gets credit with the yards. This is an example of like a punting situation. It's a fake punt. So most of the time when they punt the ball, there's no yards to note, but if they do some weird stuff where they actually go for it on 4th down, you just have to know what happened. So here's a play. Ball is here. He throws the ball. Yeah. So it's 4-3, and you would know where if you're following along at the game, you would know where the ball's at, and you would know how long that play was. Okay, kickoff returns is the last thing we're going to go over tonight because that's a scoring play. And it's essentially the same thing as keeping track of the yardage and stuff like that. So there's a kickoff. Where does he get the ball? Okay, he's gonna run the ball, but where did he get the ball? Did you guys see? Okay, so let's replay it. So rule of thumb is wherever his back foot is, that's where he started. Well, again, on these plays, there's a lot of movement, so make your best judgment when it happens. So I'd say he gets it over there, about the 13 area. So okay, so it's at 13. 42 has the ball. I can see yes, 42 has the ball. And then he gets tackled here at the 35 of the other team, and then you would just figure it out that way. Typically, we don't require you to notate how much kickoff returns or yardage. Only if it becomes a scoring play, then you would submit that. Here's another one. Okay. Okay, sorry. You can't see it, but he kind of gets it off screen, and you would just notate where he gets the ball and if he's scoring and stuff like that. I lied, sorry, there's one more last thing we gotta go over, and it's field goals. Typically you'll know it's a field goal because it's not a point after touchdown and they want to kick it for 3 points. General rule of thumb is wherever the ball spot is towards the end zone, you add 17 yards because you also have to measure the end zone, which is 10 yards, and where the ball is being kicked from. So here's one example. You measure from where the ball is kicked from. So it's going to be on this area. So I'm just going to let it play. Okay, so see how he's over here? Where is he at? He's at the 22-yard line, right? So he's kicking it from the 22-yard line. But the yellow post, it's in the back here, right? So you add 10 yards to 22. So this will go down as a 32-yard field goal. Can you guys see where the ball is being snapped from? It'll be about over here, right? Yeah, so it's the 15. Yeah, so typically they'll stand back 7 yards from where it is. So there's enough checks in here to make sure that you see where they're kicking from. So it's kicking. .42 kick. Okay, it's good. Now the next clip, I'm just gonna let it play and ask you guys how long the field goal was. Yeah. Nope, there is no extra clip. But yeah, so this is just the last thing about possession change. It's more, I guess, for your team. You just want to know what the time on the clock was and stuff like that. But I know it's kind of late and kind of long, but is there any questions? Anyone on the watching online, you got questions, you can definitely hit me up, shoot me a text, I'll respond to you and stuff like that. But yeah, so I will save this document, and I think everyone on the email that got the notice will send this entire document on that email. But yeah, thank you guys for coming out. Hopefully, I guess the videos probably took the longest, in